hit some shots, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so the big goal is I'm not looking to change this thing anytime soon, but as a knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I don't know like the lie and.
Yeah, let me get your measurements real quick. Just stand there nice and tall for me for a second. And then, but look out where it says Pebble Beach, hand right along the seam in your pants. There you go. 5'11". So your wrist to floor is a little high. Your wrist to floor would put you maybe 1 or 2 degrees upright, based on your static measurements, right?
So I should use upright?
Potentially. So to me, Joe, the golf ball overrules all of that, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Where'd you get the Scotty Cameron pants?
In Thailand.
Oh yeah?
It's fake.
Yeah. Still, who cares?
It's
That's fantastic.
$15.
I'm not even necessarily a big Scotty Cameron fan, but I know people would lose their minds over that. If I wore a set of it, I could probably sell 10 pairs a week out of the back of my car. We need to get in connection with your guy in Thailand.
Also, I'm not looking to gain distance by lowering rough.
Yeah.
Some guy like 7 iron is like 27.
Right. And based on how you're hitting that, I'd probably leave you in that player's type of club in which we're still 34, maybe 33 degrees, right? Give me 1 or 2 more and then we'll take a look at that.
Oh, bad hit.
Oh yeah, what didn't you like about that? Is it heavy?
No, it kind of hit.
Oh, okay. That's what I found, like with muscle backs. They miss well low. They miss straight. You feel like it kind of warmed up? Okay. So obviously on that one, I didn't sticker up yours. I didn't get any of that data. When we take a look at it, one of the things to keep in mind when we look at spin, my mat usually costs us about 500 RPMs. My mat, so just hitting off of a mats give a little bit.
So each spin.
Yeah. So even though this feels kind of
like
firm,
when we hit down, it has like the traction.
yeah. So grass actually in most cases holds that ball in place a little bit longer. The mat gives away a little bit. The ball doesn't. It doesn't hold it in place.
Oh, the mat gives away.
Yeah. So spin rates are usually if we took you right now and I put real grass and put a piece of sod down here, we would see spin go up just a little bit in most cases. The typical answer is 500 RPMs, right? So obviously we're seeing pretty good, pretty consistent. There was your toe shot, right?
Just 2 shots out of it. I hit with it.
Yeah.
Can the machine
If I sticker up your head, I can do that. If you want that, I can do that for you. So this is what we see. This was the impact of that toe shot. We lost, 9 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour, which in and of itself will be about 12, 13 yards. And that's how it was, right?
Yeah.
The rest of the launch conditions pretty much stayed the same. So that purely was because of a ball speed, and that's what a muscle back's going to do for you, right? To me, though, that's the benefit is it wasn't a directional miss as well. Launch angle, given your ball speed, launch angle is probably about where I want it. Maybe a touch on the low side, but nothing that I would really want to mess with, right? Because we can see on the low side of where I put you based on club head speed. I usually want about a foot for every mile an hour. As a great example of that though, like Dustin Johnson's at like what, 117 kilometers.
Maybe foot for uphill speed or uphill, right?
Correct, on driver.
Oh, okay.
On driver, right? So I put your driver club head speed over 100, probably close to 110, right?
Uphill speed. Last time we were here, 180.
Yeah. Okay. So
So further I need to is like 117.
110 probably, right? However, like this is the kind of numbers we see off of Dustin Johnson, right? He's about that same club head speed. So there's a gray area there. As long as certain conditions are being met, it's functional, right? So that launch isn't disaster. That height is a disaster. Like Justin Johnson versus Rory, about the same club head speed. Rory likes to play like 130, almost 140 feet. DJ likes to play like a 90 one, right? Fine if it suits your game, but you're a tiny bit on that low launch. Here in Florida, windy conditions, it's never the worst thing in the world to be able to do that, as long as you're not sacrificing holding. Based on all the other numbers, I don't think that's the case. But I bet you maybe a little bit out of the rough or something like that, we do see a pretty big change when you're long irons, right? 5 iron out of a primary, maybe not down deep in the rough, but where you can still get the club head on it, but grass is getting trapped. We're probably seeing that spin rate gets a little low and that ball's running a bit more for you. That's the only thing that would be gained by a lot more height, is that shot out of the primary would probably hold it over better, right? So launch a little low but good, right? Spin rate is dead on what I want to see in here. I usually would shoot for about 5,500 in here. Means about $6 grand outside. And that is pretty good, where we're not costing ourselves a lot of distance from spin and we're giving ourselves good leeway for holding greens. It also means that our flyer lies are probably about only a club length, right? If spin gets up to like 7,000, 7,500, those flyer lies drop down to $4 grand and you're going to see 2 club lengths almost in this range. That becomes hard to work with, right? So pretty reasonable there. Descent angle, I'm looking for 45 to 50 degrees. You're averaging about there. You're right hovering around that number. There again, that's a product of it coming in a little low, is you're kind of at that bare minimum number for being able to stop that ball on the green. If you're not experiencing a tremendous amount of difficulty there, though, you're in the normal range.
Usually I'm also never have a problem holding the green.
Yeah. And so I would put you in the normal range, but if this is the range that I'd say, yeah, you're not, like above this, that's the person that's backing up a 4 iron, right? And below this is the guy that can't stop a 7 iron from running. You're in the good range, but you're in the bottom part of it. So all it takes is something to get a little bit in your way, and it is releasing a little more, right? But because you're in the normal range, you're still there, right? So to further explain that, this is a little low, but I don't care if it changes. This is dead on. I don't care if it changes. This is a little flat, but if we don't do anything different, I don't care, right? You're still in a good range. You're just not in the middle of that normal range. Does that make sense? Same here, and obviously we're seeing a pretty good number here. This number is so conditions dependent, so I ignore that total number, because. Yeah, and this is a more true reflection of what you're getting typically on a golf course. This on the software, so the machine gives us phenomenal numbers. The software predicts. What it's predicting is pretty firm and fast fairways and greens to me, right? I've rarely played in the case where, like looking at your ball where you're getting 7 yards of goal, you're not, you're getting one hop and stop at the worst, right? So I like what we're seeing. There's nothing I see about that club that I go, wow, this is way wrong. I'm curious to see what happens. I kind of want to have you hit something upright. I want to see if the ball goes left because of it or how it affects your squaring. So if that works for you, but just looking at that, there's no numbers that I would go, that I'd say, I can't believe you like these irons, right? Did you want to try some other stuff, or were you wanting to mostly just get specs there?
Today I'm open to try.
Okay. Do you care what manufacturer? Or no.
No.
Okay.
That's why I said, I'm here more like to learn about my golf.
Is that different iron? Also towy?
Yep.
Yep.
This is the one that if I have to choose my top 3, I want to try. One would be this one.
Okay, good.
And the one would be the Strixon something 7.
Yeah, the ZX7?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can try that today.
So this is like one upright.
Yeah. That's
Two up.
2 up. So where you measure, right? I'm just curious to see what happens with this. And that's actually kind of what I expected. I knew we were probably going to see height and spin come out of it.
With the upright.
But I knew we'd also probably see a little bit of left tendency. So that was interesting.
Oh, it's a lot higher.
It is.
Is the loft different or?
I think that's 33 degrees. Let me double check. I think it's 1 degree stronger lofted than yours. Yours measured at 34.
Yes.
It's 1 degree weaker, 35.
Wow. Oh, fast. Bad hit.
How does that shaft feel to you?
It's fine.
Okay.
Oh, this is clean.
Yeah. I want to try a slightly different shaft here. So I know you're in the KBS Tour Light. But I expected the Langle, I bet you if I bent your Mira, we'd see launch come up and spin. With it bent upright. The interesting thing is we saw no impact on your squaring. I think that has to do with your technique, Joe. The way you square, it didn't change the closure rate.
Clean.
How does that shaft feel? Better than the first one?
I don't feel any different.
Okay. How does that feel compared to your mirrors?
Good.
Good. So the interesting thing, I want to do something real quick. I want to see what happens when we flatten this out. To be kind of a example is the head what's causing us to have that launch and spin. It's interesting to me, but like I like your golf swing. I like the way that you work together. You're not relying on your hands completely to square it. You're using your body to help. You've got a very connected golf swing, right? Like everything's contributing, nothing's dominating your swing. It's fantastic, right? Because of that, I think that's why when I went upright, it didn't all of a sudden start going way left. It didn't.
Technically, it should.
It should, but because you're not closing based on that line, you're not doing a rapid hand swing, it didn't close faster. You are using most of your body, so it had zero impact. Right?
Oh, okay.
The biggest impact is it allowed you to maybe stand a little taller, a little closer to it, and whether that's something you want or not is really the question, right? Did you feel like you were a little taller there?
I actually, sometimes when I grab like 7 or 8 iron, sometimes I feel like, man, this thing is so short. I wish I have like a quarter or half an inch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Just the head, I guess. So I do experience this a lot, but it's always with people like you that have what I would consider a really good swing, very fundamentally sound, where lying seems to have zero impact, right? Okay. And it's interesting because we're with yours, I was saying, and to like speak data real quick before we move on here, if that works for you, just show you the differences. Remember I said you were on kind of the low side of normal, but I don't really need to change it. We obviously saw trajectory come up. What we're going to see here.
With the heavier shaft, right?
We saw the trajectory come up with just that head. That 7MB head was launching a little higher, right, than your mirror was. I didn't really see a difference between that DG 105 and that one, but because you were in that normal range to make this point here, we saw launch come up, right? We saw spin come up, but ultimately, essentially, the exact same shot, right? If I compare those two, essentially, you're getting there in a different way, but we're seeing the exact same effect, right? Now you're launching high with more spin, so you can see the blue arc, and essentially landing in the same spot. And now instead of being on the bottom part of that normal zone, we're at the top part of that normal zone. That's about all that happened there. We got there in a different way. It's hard for me, you can tell me better than I can whether you prefer this shot over this shot. What's gained here is a little bit of control, especially in windy conditions. What you're losing is potentially you're on that bottom side. There's not a lot of room down for you to lose lose speed, and, you know, fairway bunkers or something. There's random stuff. Same here. Windy conditions, a little bit of a liability. It's in the air a little longer. But you get, okay, well, easier to clear obstacles and like without you doing anything, and I've got a little more of a buffer for stopping the ball even in bad conditions, right? Really, it is, like I said, it's a Rory, Dustin Johnson. How do you like playing type of scenario?
I actually wouldn't mind either of this.
Correct.
Because most of the time it just, 165, it just boom.
Right. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, there shouldn't be a lot of obstacles anyways, right? So, and then obviously one of the virtues here is being able to really dial in swing weight if we need to with that head. I can get it exactly what I want because of that weight. So if I request a D3, we can get D3 out of it, right? At least by their scale.
This one is like a bit heavier, right? Swing weight.
Probably feels heavy. Most of the Callaways feel head heavy. And that's what I miss about blades. How does this feel compared to the TaylorMade?
I don't feel much different.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you try too their slightly engineered head in that X-Ford CD. It's obviously not because I didn't like you there. I partly just want to get that feedback from you on what you think of it.
One thing that I don't want to use is that the hollow body with the foam injection.
Yeah.
I did a frame a few times, and when you get like the right in the middle and it just hot off and like it could be like 15 yards over the green. Like what?
Correct. Like when they're doing that, they're trying to make a fast pitch, like the Mizuno HMB version. They're trying to make that face fast, and like you said, now we've created a hot spot. Well, that doesn't do us any good. We don't want that swing in direct in distance, right?
Yeah, I want some accuracy, consistencies
Yeah.
on that distance. I actually feel like nowadays, golfer they hit too long.
Yeah.
Like Bryson, like 8 iron, what, 260?
Right.
Want to?
Yeah, like if you saw the Tiger Project where he basically complained that they made him an iron that went too far, right? How does that one feel to you compared to that MB?
It's a lot lighter.
Okay.
Swing with white.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Oh, long. Is it because the lob is stronger?
What's that?
Is it because the lob is stronger?
I don't believe it actually is. But with all that mass centered right behind the face, we can get a little bit of speed just because of how there's a bunch of weight there. That makes sense? That's what at least their sales pitch is on it. It's 1 degree stronger than yours, so 1 degree weaker than the MB. I knew it was in the same. Here, just gonna try.
Wow.
You talk about this MMT.
At this point, I don't like it, the whole thing, because every arm looks kind of very similar.
Yeah.
It's why I can grab this and put the chop in and still hit that.
And a big part of that is you're a good golfer, right? And I haven't given you any shafts that are way different. I started.
They're all the pretty much
as
the same.
good as you were seeing. I didn't say, well, let me see if this is wrong. I sort of validated, yeah, I like you in that 110. I've seen you can go 120. We don't need to be in really stout 130. KBS Tour is pretty smooth loading shaft, so I didn't go, well, the DG 105 was the only one that was a little different, and I felt like you hit the KBS Tour better than the Dynamic Gold, and that Dynamic Gold to me is a little harsher. So I saw, one time I bumped you out of that came in with, it seemed to get a little bit more dispersion, and so I was like, okay, he doesn't like that, but you're so good that it's like, I have to be really picky about what I'm seeing. Compared to most of my fits where it's like you're going from here to like reasonable, and I go, oh, okay.
The reason I said that because like most of the shot is still on the green.
Yes.
All kind of fringe.
Yeah, I think you've missed 3 today. You've missed the green 3 times today, aiming for the middle of the green, right? So this is the 95 gram one, right?
Yes. Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to the idea of you in that 110. I don't have it. I don't get a lot of requests for it, so.
Oh, tap inverted.
Yeah, there you go. Could you feel that a little bit? You probably still had a good sensation of where impact was, but you could feel a little bit of less vibration, right?
Oh, this is a bad one. Yeah, still acceptable.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Also, this 95 gram doesn't change any trajectory of spin at all.
Yeah, yeah. 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 Numbers wise, it's still looking good.
That's a surprise. I feel I'm very consistent with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going good. I'm going to try you in another graphite-ish shaft in that steel fiber. Just to get you into the weight we're talking about?
Oh yeah, the steel fiber is the one that my friend used. With the graphite shaft, the feeling is pretty much the same. I believe like the big difference is when hitting like the toe and the heel and the
Yeah.
same time.
Your left shot was a toe shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so whereas if you notice with a lot of our steel shafts, because of the torque on shafts, right, that on the blade your toe miss is still on line, but short. On the graphite shaft, your towing miss was left, but essentially the same. So it was interesting. It created sort of a different miss for the same miss, right? Once again, to me, that creates you know how you would attack a golf course, which one is a bigger concern for you, right? Because we're not talking about a miss being gone completely, because then it's a no-brainer. If you would have hit that towing shot and it was only 3 yards short and dead on line, and I'm like, you need to go then that, right? But it created a different miss, right?
Are these heads two upright or
Standard.
standard?
So what
So in my case, standard or upright don't mean much.
Yeah, so the only thing I could see is this. So as a good example of it here, so here was the 7MB. The difference being is that when I switched it for, you come in, that toe's a little down in impact, right? So here, yeah. So add, oops, sorry, here. Lie. Sorry, your toe was a tiny bit down, 1.7, right? And then when we switched it, it was a little bit down. So the toe was sitting a little flatter here in the upright. And when we were in the flat version, which is how yours is, it was coming in like 4 degrees toe down.
Wait, mine is 4 degrees toe down.
I didn't get measurements on yours, but this one here, when I went flat with the 7MB,
Okay.
that's similar. We were now at a 62-degree lie angle like yours was, right?
So basically, if I want it kind of, perfect, this is pretty good number, right?
Yeah, really good. Like I like to see a tiny bit toe because the toe slides and the heel digs, right? I never want to see up. I'd rather see level or slightly toe down. Unless I need spin to come up, right? If I have someone that I need spin to come up, then I'll go ahead and let this be upright, as long as direction's
So
good.
this one is
That was upright.
upright.
Yep.
Alright. So maybe
So-
my next, I might buy 1 or 2 upright.
Yeah, probably. I would only be looking maybe one, right? Because the other piece of it, we saw zero impact on your direction because of it. It was truly just whether that club was sitting a little flat or a little up.
Yeah, but this number looks better, much better than this.
Yes, and that's pretty consistent with what we were seeing, right? Any of them that I gave you that was standard was about 4 degrees down, like that one, right? So this is now the steel fiber constant weight 110. Have you hit the steel fiber before?
Yes.
Okay.
Just tested like a few days ago,
Yeah.
but hit in like the PXC head.
Yeah. How do you like that head? Were you hitting what the 311 or no 211?
Too hot.
It's too hot. It's that hollow body stuff you were talking about there, right?
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
What time in again? Look, I'm doing well with the graphite. Oh,
I think I'm.
money.
So that particular one's the constant weight version where they adjust them a little, meaning that 9 iron will be 110 grams, the 4 iron would be 110 grams. There's no change in weight.
really different to the AMT of that thing kind of changed the weight, right?
Yeah, like any shaft, usually it's changing by a gram or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
AMT of 3 grams, right? Correct?
Yeah. Oh. So interesting there, that missed like a steel shaft. Which one feels better, the steel fiber or the MMT? Or are they pretty much the same for you?
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Wow, this is not good.
No, it's very tough to look at it. And
Even 2 different graphite shaft and 110 and 95, I hit it pretty much the same thing.
you're just too good at golf.
That doesn't make sense, right?
What's that?
I mean, equipment should play a bigger part than I'm hitting in the window as like 5 yards here, 5 yards there.
Yeah. Once again, though, I mean, if I gave you something way off, maybe we'd see it. I don't know.
Oh, but these are like pretty much in my range. So-
Yeah.
Oh,
So the reality, though, is I'd say on this one, that like usually we've got 1 out of 5 that I'd go, okay, that wasn't a good one. That hasn't been the case with this one. Like if you look at this, let's just go back to ball. We had that shot, and that shot, right? We only executed 50% of the time on this one. This would be the one that I'm least liking. Like even that was a good result, but not a good hit, right?
a bit thin.
Yeah. I'm gonna take you back to the tailor-made here again. Good. Huh.
A bit thin.
Yeah. Something that you're not liking about that steel fiber, and I think it's that it feels sort of harsh, right?
Some other shafts, I can just swing, but steel fiber, I kind of have to remind myself not to go this and
Yeah. Yeah. I can see the fight here. Like you're good enough that we can overcome it, but it's a bit of a fight on that shaft. And we saw, so what was interesting to me is that MMP didn't. So what I'm seeing from you, what I take from that is steel fiber is a little bit of a harsher shaft, where it
How
doesn't.
about steel fiber 95?
That's what this was.
Oh, no,
It's
95?
on the tailgate.
Ah, okay.
But even there, it's a harsher shaft. Like it's trying to be more rigid. That's why the steel fibers are in there, right? I don't think you like that. I think you like feeling a little bit of bend. Which shaft did we end up talking about in the driver?
I got the link and
The link, yeah. Yeah. How you liking it, by the way? Purple, right, or gunmetal?
gunmetal.
Gunmetal, yeah. How you liking it?
Oh,
Fantastic, right?
it's a bomb.
Yeah. It, so, same there.
And I also got the Diamond DF60TX,
Oh, okay.
also a bomb.
Yeah. So, those two shafts versus like the hazardous and stuff like that we would have hit, Rajin maybe, where you wouldn't have liked those, right? Same thing, too harsh, too stiff.
Yeah, I've been using the hazardous for a while.
Yeah. But the
Until
link,
right now, I would never go back.
correct. And that's that same thing. That's what I was seeing with the steel fiber. You're hitting good shots, but, right? It's my bad. I was trying to beat you to it. So I've got a little bit figured out here for you.
Oh,
So went back to the KBS tour.
this would be great because I have this at home.
Yeah. I'm gonna go grab something real quick. I want to throw a club you never would have considered in the mix here. I'll be right back. I think it's seeing that other golf ball right now.
Oh,
There you go. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Well, there's a lot of things, so, it's hard to get them all nailed down at one time. Golf's got a lot of pieces. So let's grab 7-9 and let's go up.
yes. Okay. Yeah. They just pour this one on the end and ANT white.
Okay. I would assume that AT would be the one that you like the least.
Well, like I said, when you start out pouring, that's what you want to do.
Let's have more hits.
Yeah.
Sitting in my garage.
Oh, you've never hit them. They've never been in a set for you, or no?
Hit it for like 2 rounds and I took them off.
Yep. That's about what I would expect.
So how are these compared to my what I'm using now?
Like how do the
Not that different, right?
no
Result?
tiny bit heavier, but results are very similar. I want to say we're 33 degrees on this. How does this feel compared to the other ones we're hitting?
This one has similar feeling with when I hit the colorway CB.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's because of CB is the the way the toe kind of close real quick
Yeah.
to me.
This is the strongest lofted of them. This is 32 degrees.
I think it kind of shows
Yeah.
8 yard, 9 yard.
Yeah. That we just saw a little more pop on it because of that.
So it's your right hand, your right shoulder, your right arm, going to the hip. And we have to teach you to hit this way instead of this way. That's how the shoulder brings up. So the more long you hit, the more it starts to hit. So as long as you teach it how to line up straight, it'll operate the way it's supposed to. But usually it takes over. So the difference is how that goes out. Because you're not, when you're this way, you're working against your security instead of working this way.
Makes sense, looks like sport.
Yeah.
It's easier to do this.
Yes, it is. It's not, and I always, I tell people, you try to make you remember. In here, like I said, we have this line, so it's easy to feel like, you can line up all the time.
Very consistent.
Yeah. So like looking data wise, we were talking about.
You're already addressed. You're already remember that.
Get rid of this so that I can see which.
And you can see, like, when you turn that back, that shoulder wants to hang down there. And that's an 8, everybody does it.
So if we look at
McCoy.
But it's because it's all straight.
Have anything like 90 or
I have in the stiff, I've got 95. That one's 10.
and how about length?
The iron?
is kind of good, right?
What's that?
Yeah, the iron.
I don't have that.
No, I mean like, if I like go like a quarter longer or shorter, would it?
Oh, right. Yeah, so we didn't try that. I can try it a little bit. I don't see necessarily a reason to.
Oh, it is no.
Yeah. So to kind of add a couple more to this comparison real quick. So there's that 7 MB with the KBS tour that The one thing we're seeing, slightly better dispersion, basically the exact same number at different height. I think that apex and that same shaft was a good comparison. Even slightly tighter dispersion on that apex, a little more distance because spin rate's down a little bit. So you were getting the height you saw on the 7MB, but the spin wasn't as high. And so as a result, we saw a little more distance, tiny bit more ball speed, but I think some of that's a product of you warming up.
Let me try to hit this one.
Yeah.
A few more.
Okay.
Maybe start with the one that I feel warm, but not sure.
Right.
Not sure I'm really warm.
Yeah, I'm just showing you that so you know.
Oh no.
That's just to keep you from practicing when you think, oh, it's going to try. That's not gonna work. As awkward as this feels sometimes, it is much better.
Oh, wait a minute.
Pounding it.
So even setting it square with this one.
You can grab your 600.
Like I said, everyone, we all have.
No, when you said it, like, okay, maybe that's a thing.
And so some of your failures that you have, that's probably 90%.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of answered my question today.
Yeah, so your suspicion that you're probably not wrong with yours, and even then I don't think I threw any out. You know, you had this random miss here, that's a pretty big random one. I'm gonna throw that one out, I'm gonna leave these other 10s in, even though most of the time we're in the single digits, I'm gonna leave these couple ones in. Now we look at that comparison. It's like, if you wanted a new iron, right? You're not getting a better iron, you're getting a new one.
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. You launch a little low there and spins dead on. That's not a bad thing. It creates a little bit lower shot. We're talking about feet here too, right? If I go back to the table, you're averaging now 90 feet with like ZX, you're 106, 105. So we're averaging about a 10-foot difference, right? That's not earth-shattering, right? The interesting one to throw in there, and as you said, you know, potentially going into it, was thrown in that MMT, and I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to just do compared to
MMT 95, higher and longer, right?
higher and longer.
My next iron.
And we didn't really see any change in dispersion. It changed your pattern. Instead of being short right and long left, you became short left and long right. But that could have just been the small sample size we had, right? So still averaging online, we didn't really see anything drastically get out of line there. A little bit more ball speed out of it. So I like.
But then the loft. But then
No, loft on Apex is the same as yours. The 7MB was 1 degree weak of yours. Apex MB is the same as yours. So we didn't see a performance loss there, right? So my advice to you on that would be is if you like that feel better, or if there was some other some other characteristic you liked about it, it's not something to go back. Yeah.
I mean the performance thing.
Yeah.
Coffee issue.
Pretty much. We saw a little bit of speed, a little bit of launch, right?
But all carry it. Wow.
It's still within a perfectly good range, right? So if you told me tomorrow, like, yeah, Scott, I want that, and then he, like, order me a set, I wouldn't be like, what? I'd be like, okay, I get it. It would most likely be a bit of a feel thing that you're liking that. A little, takes a lot of vibration, negative breadth, I don't think it's an absolute.
And you can always tell when that happens.
I don't think that difference is enough for I'd be like, what are you doing? How are you not picking this iron right now today? So, here's the 110 in the recoil.
You're always finding that right side.
This is the Apex MP that we talked about, right?
Correct.
Oh,
It has a disadvantage.
I could get this for free. One of the kids that used it, he didn't like it.
Oh, really?
No, but then I believe we have to change the weight on this thing, right?
It can be changed so that you can get the swing rate right. And we did talk to him about that. If it was a situation like that where he maybe requested D4s and you wanted D2s, we could. They haven't told us yet whether they're going to give us weights and we could do it. But you could send it back to Callaway and they would repair it to the street weight you want. That's its main purpose for being there, is to
Changeable.
be able to make sure without different head weights they can do it, and it's not moving CG by where the placement is.
One of the kids, he played for Ole Miss, like the ranking around like 300 in the world.
Yeah.
And he tried it and
Didn't like it.
yeah, after a while he didn't like it. He
Oh,
said
okay.
it's like too high, with too much spin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the highest. So I asked him like, why not just changing this? The guy at Callaway told him, yeah, how about we send him like a new set,
Yeah.
easier. I'm like, doesn't make sense to me.
That's one where he's like, I've got budget, I don't care.
That's just like getting here.
Oh, thin.
Harsh, huh?
The good thing is, it didn't feel hard to the hand, the joint.
Yeah. So I'm seeing all the same signs here, Joe, of where that shaft now at 110 grams, that particular recoil, it's not what I would categorize as smooth. It's very stout, very harsh.
Oh.
We've seen you not like that. Like you can overcome it. You hit a perfectly good shot there, you can make do. But you like that free-flowing, free-loading.
Yeah.
You like to feel, in my opinion, you like to feel that shaft is done a little bit on the way down. When it's done that, then you go the extra way. And when it hasn't done it, I see you try to make stuff happen. That's truly a feel thing. It's one of those, it's like, nearest analogy I can say is like, what's the best color for a car in your mind? Your opinion is different than mine. We're not wrong, I don't know. But yeah, if it was my way, it's only blue cars. That's all it is. I like blue. Right? So this is going back to that MMT to feel the difference. It would make me a little weary of, even though I don't have it, I would definitely not just on a whim go to that 110. I've hit the 110 in an X, and I was like, man, this thing has, this is as stiff as I can possibly feel it close. But it was a TX 110, so I don't know. I don't know why they didn't pick up. That's a good swing.
Between your left arm and your shaft, that's where the power from the release. So you want to maintain that angle that's totally horizontal, not vertical. If that thing, if you hold it like this, you feel like it's tight, at some point it's going to release. As long as you hold it like this, instead of holding it like this. And this thing is just going to snap and release. But understanding that direction is pretty even that, even if you hit it, you feel how that thing snaps. And that's not real so good, because it's only that means you
Yeah, that's the other thing I think we've solved, right? You don't like harsh. So it needs to feel pretty similar to the link that we did, similar to the DF or DF?
DF.
DF. Either one of those still has a little bit of a smoothness to it. Yeah, you're good enough to make anything work. But there's tremendous more light in this shaft. In the same sense, we don't need to do all. Right?
No, what I got to what you're saying. Yeah, I feel like if I spend more time with the steel fiber 110,
Yeah.
I don't make it work.
Yeah.
But one is not better than this.
You're right.
Why?
Correct.
No reason.
There are shafts out there that we know you don't have to make work.
No, I'm probably gonna stick with this.
Right, so why spend a month or two getting used to them when you could just plug and play,
Yeah.
right? I like it. Do you want me to give you all this data?
Yes.
Okay. Oops. Yeah, well, we saw that hold true a little bit. What we see here is a little bit what I was saying too with that 95. The only thing we saw was your toe miss tended to be directional instead of distance then, right? Is that an asset or is that a bad thing? You can envision how you'd be playing a hole, which way, I know when I used to play muscle backs, the thing I loved is that I could say, okay, front pin, water short. If I'm clubbing where I have just enough club, I better make contact right in the water. If I was playing poorly that day, I might club up and count on the miss or say, hey, if I hit this good, I know I'm going to do it. Right? And it was nice to be able to say, I'm not going to directionally be concerned. Going to like cavity back for me, I now started to see the distance was always there, but my misses were less than that. And I think now it's the one thing making me want to move back from at least I'm thinking I want to do it on my short iron because it's like I need that right on those short irons. I'm tired of missing left or right with a short iron. I'd rather miss short and long. But that's the only thing we saw. Email for you. I thought I'd added there.
You have an email with my
Yeah.
booking, right?
SUTNITT.
2002.
Do you have access to that on your phone?
Yes. Oh boy, this is good.
It should come from Foresight Sports. And here in a second.
Now I know that I already have one of the best iron in shaft.
Yeah.
Don't have to find other.
You're making me miss. So this used to be what I played for a while. I don't like this grip. I put this grip on at the end to try it. I miss these. That's what I used to play. I think it's so smooth.
In the cavity, inside is like
A little bit on those longer ones there. Have you ever? Little butter knife 2 iron.
oh yes.
The problem I started getting into is I didn't hit it high enough. So that's I think the 95X.
Wow. Yeah, the thing is, lately, I feel like I'm the golfer who can hit 1 iron, 2 iron, 3 iron. But when it's not high enough, it's not good.
Right. That's where have you hit the Strixon driving iron?
Yes.
That's a really good flying ball that feels good and it's,
But somehow I don't like it.
oh really?
The swing weight, the head kind of light to me.
Oh okay. Feels good off that face though, right?
Yes.
But their height, same thing I saw. Makes a fantastic, truly driving iron, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I still can't get rid of it. I got rid of the rest of the set. I can't get rid of that too. I'm like, when I got to
St. Andrew, any Scottish English. This is it.
Yeah. But watching you hit muscle backs there, maybe.
All right.
All right. So check your phone real quick to see if you got that email.
I got it.
Okay. And if you have any other questions,
So we pay upfront,
Upfront.
thing, right?
yep.